Hey everybody, and welcome to Comics from the Future. I gotta keep thinking of new ways of how do I burst into
Yeah,
these
you gotta
videos.
surprise me every time.
Welcome to Comics from the Future. This is our bigger show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order by this weekend over at infinityflux.net. Get your pre-orders in by this Sunday evening time frame. We've got a lot of really good stuff. Did we say who we are?
Nope.
Because I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
And we're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so we've got some really good stuff on this show. There's especially the first one we're starting with.
Yes,
I'm very excited
super
about.
excited.
We've been eagerly anticipating some more of the Energon universe to come. We got some more Blood Hunt. DC's still a little light, but I feel like that is not going to last too much longer.
No, I don't think so.
Or we get hit with a lot of absolute power.
End of June, they're going to have the big announcement about what's coming for them in 2025.
Oh, okay.
So I think the back half of the year is going to be huge for DC.
Yes. So let's dig into this week's. We're going to start off with our featured comics.
We're going to start with Scarlett #1. So the Duke miniseries is over. Cobra Commander has one more issue left, and then we're going to roll into Scarlett and Destro. And Scarlett #1 is on FOC this weekend. This is written by Kelly Thompson, the artist by Marco Ferrari. And in this one, Scarlett is going to undertake her most dangerous Black Ops mission ever. She is going to infiltrate the Arashikage clan, which is going to be pretty, Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow and Jinx and all those guys. And speaking of Jinx, her only lead into the clan is Jinx, because Jinx used to be her former partner, but is now an Arashikage enforcer. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And Scarlett's just going to have to use all of her skills to survive undercover while also getting intel on a shocking weapon that could change the balance of power on Earth. So this sounds really cool. We got a poster in store for Scarlett that reveals some other characters that we're going to get in this. I don't know if we're supposed to say because it hasn't been revealed anywhere.
Yeah, which seems weird, but stores have gotten in a poster that show,
It's one of those group shots like we saw with Duke and Cobra Commander. Like the Duke would have Baroness and Rock and Roll and Stalker and a couple other guys. So it's one of those. But there was nothing that said don't show this, but I feel weird because they haven't announced it.
They haven't shown that. I haven't seen that as a promotional image.
Yeah.
But there's a cool cast of characters that have not been talked about yet. And one of them may sport that logo on the ground. So
that's right.
You have to check it out there.
Yeah, so super cool. Can't wait. The Duke and Cobra Commander have been great. I expect Scarlett and Destro, which we will talk about later. Not in this show, but like later in a few weeks. I expect this to be great as well. We've seen some preview pages from this in the back of Transformers, I think.
Yeah, I think Scarlett was in the back of the issue of Transformers that came out this week.
Yeah, that's right. And it looks really cool. So super excited. So we have our A cover right here. We have a Joelle Jones variant. You
can see some of the characters on there.
Jinx. Can you see any other ones?
I don't know. You'll have to keep looking.
Okay.
There's something to do with snow.
Yeah, for sure. There is a blank variant. There is a Howard U anniversary variant. That's going to be a connecting variant, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, this is...
I think this isn't...
This is the black and white version. The color version isn't ready yet. They have it available.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But, really interested in this one. Specifically, looking over there and seeing, what characters have we seen? What characters haven't we seen?
Right.
Some pretty interesting ones on there.
Yeah.
But next up, I was going to ask real quick, do we know how many miniseries we're getting for G.I. Joe?
I want to say 4 because in one of the solicitations for Cobra Commander, I think months ago, I read something official that said this is the second of 4 miniseries. But at the time, we didn't know about Scarlett and Destro, and I remember asking 4? Well, what are the other 2?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's going to be these next 2, and then I don't know what after
Maybe
that.
a full-blown G.I. Joe in Cobra series or something like that. Anyways, we're going to continue on with Blood Hunt, Marvel's Blood Hunt, with this new one. I believe this is a one-shot.
Yeah. There's 4 X-Men Blood Hunt one-shots, each
Yes.
one focusing on a different character.
Yes. So that's what I was trying to think. It's a series of one-shots.
That's right. Four
around the X-Men.
one-shots, yeah.
So this is Blood Hunt Jubilee, and I'm really excited about this. So this is by Preeti Cheeber and Enid Balam, and I was reading X-Men back during the I forgot what the storyline was called, but it was the big Dracula story.
Oh yeah.
And where Jubilee got turned into a vampire. And even past that series, she stayed a vampire for a very long time. Even when she had her baby she was raising, all of that, she was still a vampire.
And they referenced that in the Exterminators miniseries
Yes.
from last year. It was really cool.
So it's a really interesting part of Jubilee's life that I feel like was first done as like a shake up to the story, being like, oh no, Jubilee's a vampire. And then they're just like, I don't know, let's go with it for a while. And so that became a pretty big part of her life. So now, as the vampires are running amok on Earth, Jubilee may be someone who's going to be really helpful in understanding them and combating them, being that she was one for so long. So if you're planning on reading all of Blood Hunt, or maybe, we're going to be wrapping up the X-Men Krakoan era, but before we get into the next era of X-Men books, we're going to be getting some of this, which I'm guessing takes place after. I'm not sure, but
after the Krakoan stuff?
Yeah.
I think so.
I think this kind of falls in between. So
because doesn't this come out after X-Men 35, which is the final nail in the coffin, basically?
Yeah. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Oh yeah, that was a mistake.
So really cool one here with Jubilee. We've got a few covers for this. So this is our A cover. Of course, there is the Blood Red Blank variant. There's a Peach Momoko variant. And a Scotty Young Big Marvels cover, which I don't know why it's not Jubilee, but we've got a Jean Grey here as well.
And we will see some more of these Big Marvels covers later in the show.
Yeah, there's some I definitely am going to be getting.
Yep. Next is My Adventures with Superman #1. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries written by Josie Campbell. The art is by Pablo Collar. And this is going to continue right after the end of Season 1 of the animated series. So I think the Season 2 starts here pretty soon. I don't know if it comes out before this on June 4th, but they'll be lining up right around the same time. But in this one, Clark is about to spend Christmas alone in Metropolis until he gets a tip about a monster in the sewers that is going to send Superman and Lois and Jimmy down there to investigate. But this monster that they find, it can absorb anything it touches. And why is it in Metropolis? My first thought when I heard that was, oh, well, maybe it's Parasite. But they did Parasite in the animated series, I think. So
yeah, when it said like it can absorb things, it was like, well, that just sounds like Parasite.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be Parasite or something else. It seems weird to do Parasite when they've already done it, and there's so many others that they haven't done yet. I don't know. We're not sure yet. But if you like the animated series, I love the animated series, then this will be a great addition while we wait for Season 2 to come out very soon. So we have our A cover. There is a Gavin Guidry variant, who is your artist on Superman 78, I believe. There is a character design variant, and then there is a blank variant.
Very cool. Yeah, not a whole lot of DC, but they are putting out some really interesting, like #1s. Next up, we have Cult of the Lamb #1. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries by Alex Packnadel and Troy Little. This is, of course, based on the hit video game, which I play almost every night before bed.
Do you really?
I really do. I really like this game. It's such a weird juxtaposition of you're building a cult, and you have to like recruit followers and build like places for them to worship, but everyone's really cute little animals. And you play as, of course, the Lamb, who is the cult leader. It's been tasked with creating this cult because there is these kind of like elder god things that are chained up and they need to be unchained. So you go off and you do little missions and worlds, and then it's kind of like a Diablo-esque type thing. Then you come back to your place and it's kind of a civilization builder. So this is going to have a lot of those as we see the origin of Lamb and them getting the red crown and kind of setting out on this journey. I hope we see a bunch of the little animals and everything, because that's the best part of it.
Yeah.
They grow old, they die, you got to bury them. You got to make food for them. It's such a fun game and so kind of twisted, but it's awesome. So we've got a bunch of really cool covers here. I know a lot of people who play the game will definitely want to check this out. So this is our A cover by Dalmo. We also have the little variant, that's your interior artist. We've got a Fleeks variant, which is really cool. That's your
Feral and Stray Dogs.
Feral and Stray Dogs. We also have a Ba variant, which is also funny considering he's a sheep. And we have a blank sketch variant to draw all your favorite little critters.
Next is my favorite title of any comic ever in the history of man. This is Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, #1. This is, I'm not sure if it's going to be a miniseries or an ongoing, but it's a new book from Image, written by Jerry Duggan. The art is by Gary Brown. This first issue is going to be double length, and it's about a female samurai named Asami. You can see her on the cover there, and then a Western gunslinger named McWraith. They come from completely different worlds, not literally, but they're
when referring to comics, you have to specify non-different worlds.
Yeah, but
reality.
they come from opposite sides of the planet, basically, east and west. But at some point they wake up together in a purgatory ruled by a ruthless society of damned warriors, and I'm guessing that's one of them on the cover, or maybe the head damned warrior. And it says that this series is going to be full of action, the dead, the dying, the undead, and romance, because there is going to be a romance that develops between these two characters, and I'm assuming it's their budding romance while also trying to escape this purgatory and stop whatever's in it and figure out why they're there in the first place. It just looks really cool. I mean, it gives me the cover gives me like Star Wars vibes, but also like Seven Samurai, but also Magnificent Seven. But I don't know why, but it just it feels that way. So I can't wait to check this out. It sounds really cool, and this is our only cover as well.
Cover.
Yep.
Yeah, and the title sounds a little bit like Nickelback lyrics. Love on the path to hell. Okay, so next up we've got Ultimate X-Men #4. Now, I want to bring this one up because I feel like this is what we've been waiting for with the series, where it's really going to start fleshing out. Of course, this is written and drawn by Peach Momoko, and in this one, it is the kind of kickoff of the solicitation for it is the New Mutants. And so when I heard that, I was like, that's actually what this feels like, more than like X-Men.
Yeah.
This team feels like the New Mutants, the kind of younger, a little bit edgier type team. So, in this one, Nico Minoru, who is originally a member of the Runaways, is a girl in the class that Hisako's in and everything. And she starts figuring out, hey, some of the girls in my class have powers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to start expanding the kind of the awareness of the mutants and everything. And it sounds like Hisako's world is about to get bigger, because also look on that cover. There's a character down there in the corner that looks a lot like Rogue.
Yeah. Does it say anything about Rogue?
It doesn't,
okay.
But I have a feeling we're really going to start getting some more mutant characters that we're going to be able to recognize.
Yeah, interesting.
So, very cool one here. Very interested to see kind of the direction this goes in, because we're still very early on.
It'd be crazy if, like, in this span of, like, this first arc, like, they formed what is essentially the New Mutants, and then at the end, like, they're approached by the X-Men who are already formed, and they're like, oh gosh, we thought we were the only ones, but here you guys are. That would be pretty neat.
Yeah. I could see this kind of telling the mutant story, but from a different angle than what we're used to. So we've got some great covers for this. Of course, this is our A cover by Peach Momoko. We've got a Lucas Wernick variant. We've got a Megan Hetrick Ultimate Special variant. And we have another Peach Momoko variant.
Next is Space Ghost #2.
Say it right.
Space Ghost!
There we go.
#1 came out a couple weeks back. It's fantastic. It's sold out here.
Yes.
Maybe we have a couple of the incentives left. I'm not sure.
I think we've got like 2 of the big incentives,
Yeah.
but just people... you never know Space Ghost fans till they all come rushing
Yeah.
out to get a comic.
So with that said, number one sold out very quickly. So number two is on FOC. So if you want it, please get those pre-orders in this weekend. In this issue, Space Ghost and Jan and Jace and Blip, they travel to Space Ghost's headquarters, which is known as Ghost Planet. So that sounds really cool. And then soon after they get there, Space Ghost has to leave on another urgent mission, and he gives the kids explicit orders to stay put. And parents out there who have, younger kids or really kids of any age, that they always listen and do what they tell you. And if you tell them to not do anything, they definitely follow suit. But it sounds like maybe they don't, because then it says what could go wrong after he tells them to do that. So I guess hilarity is going to ensue. I'm not sure, but the first issue was great. The artwork was great. The action was great, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Because there's so much story to tell. We're gonna be introduced to new characters, old characters, but in this new book, it's going to be fantastic.
I also love they're using Ghost Planet, which was in Space Ghost Coast to Coast. That's the planet that floats outside the window of the studio and one time crashes into the studio.
Yeah.
So I just can't get that out of my mind.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited to see these versions of the characters.
For sure. So we have our A cover right here. We have a Jay Lee cover with Zorak.
Which looks awesome. That might be the cover I'm getting.
Yeah,
that's too cool.
There's a Beren's variant. There is a Cho variant. I love these ones.
Yeah,
classic looking. And then there is a Joe Quesada variant.
Look at that.
Which this was just announced a couple days ago. So this is really cool.
This is it's the time of Space Ghost.
Yeah.
People need to be getting this because this is so cool.
I'm telling you, Space Ghost and Johnny Quest and Thundercats and what else is there? The Flash Gordon. This is great.
It's a golden era for cartoons in comic form. Next up, we've got X-Men Heir of Apocalypse #1. Now, this one, I talked about it on our previous show, that I'm still trying to figure out exactly the time frame this takes place, because this is by Steve Fox and Natho Diaz. And in this...
Sorry, Netho, he was your artist on Daredevil Black Armor.
Oh,
it was super great. And he's been posting like little previews and stuff on Twitter, and they look fantastic. So I don't know about the story yet because we haven't read it, but the artwork is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And in this, it's interesting because, of course, this is going to be coming out after the final issue of X-Men. But it sounds like it's dealing with some of the stuff that happened in the Krakoan era. So I'm not sure if maybe Apocalypse now is like Arakko's still around. Is he moving there and taking over there? So he is taking up the throne of Arakko, which is Mars, which sounds like that could continue even after the Krakoan era. And he must enlist another to take his place on Earth to ensure mutants don't become weak, because that's kind of his thing. He's kind of the
survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest. So someone has to like take on that role on Earth. Which sounds like that could be definitely after the Krakoan era, figuring all that out. So he's going to get 12 heroes and villains, so a mix of 12 heroes and villains, to compete to be the heir of Apocalypse. I think it sounds really interesting. You see on the cover a couple of different characters. We can see X-23 on there. We've got Danny up there.
Cable.
Yeah, Cable. So I'm very interested to see what this is and kind of what this means for the future of...
Is that Forge?
I was trying to see if that was Forge. I couldn't quite tell, but it's an interesting group.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get a hint of it from some other covers and stuff. But this is a mini series. But one of my favorite things about this is the font that they use, the Age of Apocalypse font, which just always a welcome thing. So this is our A cover. We also have the Marvel Masterpiece variant, and we have a Ron Lim variant. See, on there you can see some of the more of the characters.
Yeah, Forge and Wolverine.
Emma Frost, Sinister.
And what's her name? Penance?
Yeah, Penance is on there. So it's a very interesting cast of characters that they've pulled together.
Is that Silver Samurai, maybe?
That's... I'm not sure. But and let's see, how does he convince all of these? Because I can imagine some of these people are like, I don't want the job.
Right.
So I'm not sure. But sounds very, very interesting. Next up, we got other #1s, because there's still more this week, especially indie books, really heavy this week.
We're going to start with the Thanos Annual for this year, and this is written by Derek Landy. The art is by Sarah Pacelli, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And this is the beginning of a story called The Infinity Watch, which the Infinity Watch holds a special place in my heart. Came right after the Infinity Gauntlet crossover in the 90s, or 1990, I think. And it was a great series. So this one, like I said, it's going to be told across several of the annuals for this year. And after the events of his own series, which wrapped up a couple months back, Thanos sets off in search of the Infinity Stones, because that's what Thanos does, right? But he is shocked to learn that the Infinity Stones have sort of become part of actual people like Star and Overtime, Quantum, Prince of Power, and Multitude. And those are the characters that we saw in the in the Infinite Destiny storyline that ran through the annuals a couple of years back, and we haven't seen those
quite a while.
Yeah, we haven't seen those characters since. And there's I've seen people before say like, where did those characters go?
Yeah,
and,
I really like Star. Star
Yeah.
was in a lot of Captain Marvel
Yeah,
for a little bit.
Kelly Thompson's Captain
had her
Marvel.
own miniseries.
Yeah, the Kelly Thompson Captain Marvel Omnibus, she was in there, and it also collected her 5-issue miniseries.
I really like
So
that.
I read all that. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So we're going to see those characters again in this. I don't know in what capacity. But something interesting, it says there are 6 Infinity Stones, but there's only 5 people. So where's that other Infinity Stone? I have no idea. Maybe there's another. Maybe it's bonded with another character we haven't met yet. I don't know.
It's on Thanos' back, just where he can't
Yeah,
reach.
it's like he left it like on his head, like glasses. Oh, stupid me! It was here the whole time. But yeah, so more Infinity goodness, if that is your cup of tea, starting in this Thanos Annual. So we have our A cover right here. We have a Chad Harden foil variant. That's going to be
That's
cool.
sick.
That's going to be a cool foil. Yeah. There's Frank Miller variant, and then there is a Mike McCone variant as well. And there's a Win from
God.
Gods. Yeah. So what's he
And
doing
the
there?
Maker, which
Oh yeah.
so I guess it's all villains on there, but like
Well, but Storm is there too.
Storm is there.
Yeah, and Black Panther.
And Galactus' big head in
and
the background.
Night. What's his name? I don't remember.
So
Iron Man's there. Yeah. What is this cover about?
Yeah.
Or maybe this is the annuals. I don't know. Maybe
I'm
it's
very interested to see
I'm not sure.
what pulls all these characters together.
Oh, there's 2 more. There's a Rose Besh
So
cover.
we got distracted on
Yeah.
on looking at all the characters.
I like that one, and I also like the Scotty Young Big Marvel variant.
Wow, that is one big Marvel right there.
I want a whole comic of Thanos that looks like this. That's great.
He's a little Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Okay, next up we have Giant Size Daredevil. So continuing the 50th anniversary of the Giant Size books. We are getting Daredevil now by Saladin Ahmed and Paul Davidson.
It's funny that it's the 50th anniversary of the Giant Size books, because it's also the 60th anniversary of Daredevil. He came out 60 years ago
so
this year. So
10 years after that,
Mhm.
there was a Giant Size. And this sounds really cool. It's hard to figure out exactly what they're talking about. Usually these are standalone stories. You don't really have to be reading the main story to get it. But we do see that Elektra's there as Daredevil as well. So it says, empowered by forces unknown, Kingpin stalks the streets of Manhattan by night. It almost sounds like he's like a vampire or like some kind of like night monster thing.
Well, so in Daredevil number 9 that came out this week, when Kingpin revealed himself as like the head of the Heat, that was a big question that Daredevil was asking. It was like, why would he want to go back to being the Kingpin after he's been mayor, he's been king or Black King or White King of the Hellfire Club? And there was one other thing too. He's like, he's done all of it. He's had all these accomplishments. Why would he want to go back to being the Kingpin of a group of street thugs or whatever? And I got the impression that like there's something there.
Yeah.
There's something, and maybe this will answer that question.
Yeah, and what I also thought was interesting, it says no matter what Daredevil does, he may not be fast enough to stop him.
Weird.
And
Okay.
usually, the way it says fast, it makes me think like literal fast, and I don't think of Kingpin as like the fastest. He's fast for his size, but
Well, there was mention in Daredevil number 9 about he says usually when I fight bad guys, they're not fast enough to stop me, but Bullseye is. So maybe Bullseye. I don't.
Interesting.
But after number 9, I don't see Bullseye. I don't know. No idea. We'll have to wait and see what
anyways,
it is. Yeah.
sounds really cool though. Great, great Daredevil cover here too. That's super cool. So we've got a few covers for this. We've got this main cover. We have a Dave Barden Deadly Foes variant.
Classic costume.
I love these where you can really pick apart all the different classic villains. And we also
like
have this Greg Land variant.
Yep. And next is Precious Metal #1. This is a new 6-issue miniseries from Image. This is written by Darcy Van Poldgeest, and the art is by Ian Bertram. Now, this is set 35 years before another series called Little Bird, which I'm not familiar with, but
I remember it coming out. It was very popular when it was coming out.
Yep. And it specifically mentions Little Bird Volume 1, The Fight for Elder's Hope, and that is a trade paperback that you can get. So if you want to read that and then read this. So it's set 35 years before that, and that book also was by the same creative team. It's this series in particular is about a mod tracker named Max Weaver. He is hunting for a modified child. And this makes me wish I knew about that series because it sounds interesting. But that hunt is going to lead to a grisly and unexpected turn for him. And now he's going to be saddled with an unpredictable mod. I guess it's like a modded person.
Yeah.
Who may be the key to unlocking his missing memories. And he'll soon find out that he's not the only one interested in the child's unique abilities. And if he wants to know more, it's going to cost him everything. So this sounds kind of like a, like I said, I'm not familiar with Little Bird. It sounds maybe like a futuristic, maybe kind of a cyberpunk kind of thing. Not the game cyberpunk, but just like, modded individuals and bio enhancements and that kind of thing. Sounds really cool. So I'll definitely be checking this one out. And this also only has one cover.
Next up, we've got a new Vampirella miniseries called Vampirella Dark Reflections. I'm not sure how many issues this is going to be. Probably, a trade's worth, if you were to ask me. But this is by Tom Snigoski and Janine Hson with art by Daniel Main. And this is interesting because that's the team that did the Vampirella, like Vampiverse stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they're returning to that where Lilith, one of Vampirella's daughters, is tasked with investigating a reality where Vampirella in that reality has gone eerily silent. And Lilith must save the reality where a beaten and broken Vampirella has been taken down by the spawn of chaos. So another kind of multiverse story here for Vampirella, but sounds really cool. And we've got this great Jenny Frizen A cover for that. We also have a Perio variant, which looks like there's kind of an evil version of Vampirella. And we also have a Linsner variant.
Next is Profane #1. This is the first of a 5-issue miniseries from Boom. This one is written by Peter Milligan. The art is by Raul Fernandez. And this sounds like a cool, crime thriller mystery kind of story. This is about a guy named Will Profane. He is a private detective in LA. He is on a brand new case, and every clue in that case is leading him towards, or pointing him towards, a famous detective novelist. But as he gets deeper and deeper into this investigation, it's going to transform his world into something truly unreal. So I don't know what that's going to be, but it sounds really cool. I like the style of this cover right here. So this is by Rodriguez, and then there is a Mike Deodato variant.
Very, very different styles. Yeah. Next up, we have The Rider. This is a new miniseries from Ben Berkowitz, Max Berkowitz, and Hollywood's own Josh Gad. From Frozen fame as Olaf. He was in the remake of Beauty and the Beast as LeFou. He's been in a lot of things.
Was he in Pixels with Adam Sandler? Was that him?
I think so. Yeah. But people know him around the starlit Hollywood Walk of Fame. But this is about a comic book writer named Stan Siegel whose life devolves into a neo-Nazi occult nightmare. And he has to plunge himself into a world of folklore and magic as he tries to become the hero from his pages. So you can tell the main character, definitely Josh Gad inspired. Sounds really cool. You always wonder with this, is this going to be, are they planning on, this is a pitch for a movie or a TV show, or was it originally that and then it went to comic form? But
what if that pendant he's wearing has anything to do with anything?
Probably.
Yeah.
Pendants don't just hang around for no reason.
Right.
But it sounds really cool. I love the kind of Lovecraftian angle it seems to be going for. So if that sounds like your speed, or if you're a die-hard Josh Gad fan, definitely check this one out. And just the one cover. Next up, we got notable 2s and 3s continuations of series that either have already started or haven't started yet, but you need reminding, you need to get them 2s and 3s.
Well, Deadpool number 3. I really like this series. I've never been much of a Deadpool fan in the comics, but I am really digging this series. And in this one, it's going to be Deadpool and Taskmaster versus Crossbones, which I think just sounds awesome. I
Yeah.
like all three of those characters. Well, I guess I like Deadpool kind of, but Taskmaster and Crossbones for sure. And then I'm all going at each other. Sounds really cool. Also, Deadpool gets a new hire that he isn't expecting. He's open sort of kind of his own business where he's sort of a merc slash bodyguard for hire. So he's going to get on a new take on a new hire. And Death Grip, who is the new villain from the first issue, gets a valuable key to Deadpool's mortality. He was all he thought that Deadpool's the one because he's immortal and I want to be that. So sounds like he's going to learn more about that. But should be really a really fun action packed issue. So we have our A cover right here. We have the Marvel Masterpieces variant. There is the Matthew Waite variant, which that I really want to play that game.
I like Goomba, Dr.
Yeah.
Doom.
There's a movie variant, which him just sort of standing up behind something, and then there is a Rob Liefeld variant.
Speaking of Deadpool, we've got Deadpool Wolverine World War III number 2 by Joe Kelly and art by Adam Kubert. And the first issue definitely raised a lot of questions to what's going on. Well, in this one, Wolverine and Deadpool are caught in a snowy wasteland, and they have to rely on each other to stop the enhanced forces of those who watch. So we kind of saw in the last one, maybe Deadpool's been augmented or enhanced.
Something's happened to him, yeah.
Something's happened to him. And this sounds interesting. They have to rely on each other because where it left, it looked like they were about to throw down each other. So very interested to see what happens here. We've got our A cover for that. We have our Basildua Stormbreakers variant, which features Adam Warlock, not Deadpool at all.
Who's the other guy?
I'm not sure. Huh. And then we also want to mention there is a second printing of the number 1 for Deadpool Wolverine. So if you missed out, you can pick this one up and be right caught up.
Next is Spider-Man Shadow of the Green Goblin number 3. This has been a really cool kind of Untold Tales of Spider-Man. If you're familiar with that series from the 90s, this is sort of doing that same thing. In this one, the biggest mistake of Norman Osborn's life comes back to haunt him, and it isn't who you think. I wonder if it's that question mark person on the cover there. And is Spider-Man ready for a rematch with the Proto-Goblin? We didn't see them tangle up at all in the second issue. They stayed completely separate in their own stories, but now they're going to come back together and mix it up, so it should be really cool. Spider-Man, this is only weeks after Uncle Ben died, so Spider-Man is still very, very early in his career. This is our A cover right here, and then we have the Marvel Masterpieces variant with Green Goblin, who is not the Green Goblin yet in this series.
Next up, we've got Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt number 2. Number 1 comes out this next week that we'll be going over on Monday. So we'll figure out more about it. Now, we did see at the end of the issue 49 of Amazing Spider-Man, the Lizard show up.
Yeah.
And then it looks like that's what's going to be continuing here as Spider-Man and the Lizard need to save Morbius to save the world from the vampires. But does Morbius want to be saved? Not sure what all of that means. We'll maybe know a little bit more, and maybe why Misty Knight's there once the issue 1 comes out. But really cool cover. I liked that lizard. He's kind of very beefy lizard. And this is our A cover for that. And there is a Berens variant as well.
And don't get confused. Like if you're on pull for Amazing Spider-Man, this is not the Amazing Spider-Man series. This is a separate miniseries.
Like 3 issues.
Yeah, that they had to spin off into its own miniseries because they're telling the Spider-Goblin story coming up in number 50, so they had to sort of offshoot the Blood Hunt stuff. So if you're on pull for Amazing Spider-Man and you want this, let your shop know because, well, I don't know, will you guys automatically pull?
Probably will not automatically pull this one, considering it's usually if it's by a different creative team and it doesn't have the same numbering, we won't. So if you want this one, let your store know.
And next is, sorry, let me make my note here. Strange Academy Blood Hunt number 2. So number 1 came out this week, and it was pretty interesting. I feel like this miniseries may be a little bit more important to the main story than some of the other tie-ins. In the first issue, the Strange Academy kids went off to Madripoor in search of the Darkhold, and the Darkhold is mentioned in a couple different books across this Blood Hunt book so far. So the Strange Academy kids are over there in Madripoor trying to get the Darkhold. However, the Darkhold is now something different, and I don't want to spoil the first issue if you haven't read it yet, so I won't say what it is, but it wasn't the book that they were expecting yet. And stopping the vampire onslaught means doing something that the kids may not want to do. So, well, I don't know. We'll have to see where all this is going because I feel like this is just gonna maybe this is one of the ones you want to read above some of the other ones because of the Darkhold, because of that Darkhold connection. So we'll have to see what happens. But this is our A cover right here, and then we have a Terry Dodson variant too.
Yeah, this one and Doctor
Strange,
Strange, I feel like are
so far
a little closer tied to the main spine of the Blood Hunt event.
Yeah, so far, in our opinion, those are the two probably most important ones outside of the main.
But I also really like Dracula. I really like the art Dracula. Okay, next up we've got The Boy Wonder #2. #1 just came out this week. Did you get a chance to read this yet?
No, not yet.
It's really good. It's the art and writing is by Junie Ba, and it's Damian Wayne telling a fairy tale to his captor, but the fairy tale is actually the story of him as Robin and Batman and the other Robins, and kind of him trying to find his place among them. So the first one, we kind of saw his relationship with Dick Grayson as Nightwing and, the Robin that Nightwing was before, along with Barbara Gordon was there as well. This one is going to be about Jason Todd Red Hood. So focusing on Red Hood, can Damian learn from Jason's mistakes, or is he also doomed to a life of rage like Jason Todd ended up? So I'm really excited about this one to see kind of this universes, because it's not too far off from kind of what you think of as the standard story of the characters, but there's a little tweaks to it, and I really like the angle they're going with, especially how they portray Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon, and now this one to see maybe an interesting backstory for Jason Todd. So we've got our A cover right here, and we've got a Chris Samney variant. It's very nice. I also like the buildings making the bat symbol. Very cool.
Yeah, that's always cool when that happens. Next is Dick Tracy #2. The first one was great. I can't wait to see this issue.
It's another one of those classic.
Yeah, another one, right? So in this one, Dick Tracy continues his investigation into who shot up the Green Eye Diner and also who gave the order for them to do that. And that's really it. That's all this solicitation tells us. But there's no fuss, no muss with this one. This is just a straight on detective story. With bad guys and the mob and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. The artwork is great, so I can't wait to see what happens. And this is our A cover. We have a Brent Schoonover connecting variant. And if you missed the first one, this is the second print. So, and this comes out on the same day as #2. So if you missed the first one the first time, you can pre-order this, pre-order #2, and get them both on June 12th when they come out, and have 2 issues ready to go.
Yep, feel like you're reading comics in the 1940s and 50s.
Right.
Next up, we've got the next issue of Penthouse Comics. This is #3. This continuing what is basically a book of very interesting like crime noir stories. So continues the story of Gun Crazy, The Dream, which I love the Gilliam March art in that. I Spit on Your Grave, and the new one that started in the last one called The Dead All Have the Same Skin, about a biracial bouncer in old world New York who must hide his identity to keep being accepted by society. And it's a very reminds me of like the early detective comics before Batman came along.
Right.
That are very like bare knuckle brawling in a bar type thing. So very cool one here. We've got the Matteo Scalera A cover. We have the Kiowa variant. We have a Perdith cover and a George Baromatis cover, which is super weird and very sci-fi. Yeah. That's the old version of the future where everything is chrome, even the people.
Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Black, White, and Green #2. Now, there are no specific details about the stories in this issue in particular, but we, just like the last one had 4 stories, right?
Yes.
This one is also going to have 4 new stories from Javier Rodriguez, Tyler Boss, Mikey Way, and Gavin Smith. So, not really sure what those stories are going to focus on, but I think it's cool that they're embracing the black, white, and fill in the blank cover as well.
Blood, a color, whatever you want.
So this is our A cover. We have a B cover by Love, and that's it.
Very cool series here. Just loving all the new Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
and getting ready for a lot more to come.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, we got cool covers. It's just some really cool covers and really cool stories on the inside of them. Starting with Star Wars Darth Vader number 47. This is our next part of the Raising of Exegol story, which is pretty big. Kind of Vader's final push to take down the Emperor and using the Schism Imperial and all of that. Really, really cool. And we've got this Phantom Menace 25th anniversary variant. And this Rachel Stott Pride Month variant with Dr. Aphra, which her series is over, so hopefully we see some more Aphra coming up soon.
And next is one I'm really excited about. This is Avengers number 15. So, this is a Blood Hunt tie-in. We talked before about how we think that Doctor Strange and Strange Academy are probably the two most important ones outside of the main series. But I really liked number 14 that came out this week. It was a tie-in as well, because while the main Avengers are up in space fighting the Blood Coven, Captain America Steve Rogers pulled together Hercules and Kate Bishop and Hazmat and Quicksilver to deal with the vampire threat on the ground, and I loved that issue. The artwork was great, chock full of action. Hercules and Hazmat together are a really cool duo, very akin to like Colossus and Wolverine, doing their fastball special, or Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, or Wonder Man and Beast. Like, they're great already. So I'm really excited for this one too. Probably not the most important story. If you're trying to just get the main parts of Blood Hunt, you probably don't need to get this one, but it's really, really good. So I recommend it. All that to say, in this one, there is a bloody brawl on a vampire-infested helicarrier.
Ooh.
And that's all I need, really. If you read issue number 14 that came out this week, you know the vampires that they're going up against. Nazi vampires. You know who the big bad is leading that group. I love it. I cannot wait for this one. This was probably one of my favorites of the week so far, of this week so far. So anyway, we have our A cover right here, and then we have a Scotty Young, a big Marvel variant with Black Panther.
Next up, we got Fantastic Four number 21, and this is also a Blood Hunt tie-in. Can Reed Richards come up with a cure for vampirism? It's magic, it's illogical, it's impossible, but that's never stopped him before. Plus, Sue, Ben, and Johnny are alone in Arizona trying to keep their family safe from a world overrun by vampires. So I'm really excited about this one too, just to see how they deal with the vampires. Yeah. We've got some great covers. So this is our Arthur Adams.
And I love that he dated it. October 10th of last year. So he drew this like 6 or 7 months ago. Yeah. I love that.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Great Ben Grimm. Mm-hmm. And we also have the
great.
Big Marvels, Scotty Young, which that's another great rendition of the Thing.
Yeah. This is Incredible Hulk number 13. This is the Scotty Young. I love this one too. Like, I want an issue, at least a one-shot of all the Big Marvels version of the characters, running around doing stuff. In this one, Dr. Voodoo has sent the souls of both Hulk and Banner into an exorcist's soul cage, where some of the most terrifying beings on Earth have been condemned for eternity, and they're going to seek Charlie's last chance for survival, a character named Sumunguru the Flesh Eater, one of the most evil sorcerers to ever live. Not a Blood Hunt tie-in yet. I thought maybe it was because of Dr. Voodoo's involvement, but Hulk is going to get involved at some point, but this isn't a Blood Hunt tie-in. So yeah, super cool. And we just wanted to show you this Big Marvels variant. And we wanted to show you Miles Morales Spider-Man number 21, this Big Marvels variant as well. Now, this one is a Blood Hunt tie-in. The solicitation sounds interesting, though, because it says, this is what it says: Blade has a plan to stop the blood-sucking hordes of vampires from destroying the Earth, and it involves Miles Morales. But Blade's mission comes with a cost, one Spider-Man might not be willing to pay. But it says that Blade has a plan to stop the vampires. Does he really? I'm not too sure. If you read Blood Hunt number 1, you know why I'm questioning that. So I have no idea where all that's going, but we at least have a really cool cover to show you.
Next up, we've got Spider-Boy number 8. And what I love about this series, too, is it's creating a bunch of new villains for Spider-Boy to kind of beef out his rogues gallery. This one is introducing the Puzzle Man. So Bailey is so close to reuniting with someone from his past who might actually remember him. which if you've been reading it, you know that's a big thing for
Mhm.
him. No one remembers Spider-Boy, but first you have to make it through the menacing mazes of the Puzzle Master, which if you read that solicitation, that could have been the solicitation from a 70s
Yeah,
issue of
definitely.
Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Like I love that. The series is so fun. It's modern, but also has that classic feel of just like pretty much one and done adventures with Spider-Boy. So can't wait for this one. We've got our A cover right here and a Scotty Young Big Marvels variant, which I love this. Especially, I guess, him being a kid, it just works for Spider Boy.
Yeah, he should be a little Marvels because he's a kid,
Yeah,
So
should
he
be
should
even
be.
littler.
Yeah. Next is Batman number 148. This is the finale of the Dark Prison storyline, and it's basically just Batman versus Failsafe with Damian's life and Gotham's future hanging in the balance as we grow ever closer to absolute power. We saw a couple things in this week's issue of Batman that's that's going to play into absolute power. So if you've been getting this, don't miss this next issue. We have our this is a B cover by Wu Chol Lee, and then there is a Yasmin Putri card slide variant. That's your Dark Knights of Steel artist, which I love that. I can't wait for more of that. And then we have Batman 89 Echoes number 3. And in this one, sorry, Dr. Quinzel's therapy session goes awry after some unconventional methods affect a few of her patients, and Dr. Crane's plans within Arkham Asylum march forward. And I think Alfred is still trying to search for Bruce. So yeah, if you've been reading that, don't miss this. And this is just a really cool Scott Forbes variant.
Yeah, I always love that creepy costume for Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
The stitch together. Next up, we got Poison Ivy number 23. This is a resurrected Floronic man descends on Slaughter Swamp and Poison Ivy. So this, I believe this is what the second year of Poison Ivy. That's,
Yeah.
I think the previous issue was like the big like kind of anniversary that it's reached 2 years. But this one sounds really cool. Plus we've got this great Frank Cho variant and a Scott Forbes DC Pride 2024 variant. Next up, we got graphic novels and more, and there's some really good ones in this one.
Yep. Starting with the Robin Tim Drake Compendium, Volume 1. The Nightwing one just came out this week, and it's awesome. Chock full of Nightwing, the miniseries, and then his main series from the 90s. Like, there's like 30 issues in that one. And this one sounds just as cool. This is going to be $59.99. It's going to collect the 3 Robin miniseries from the 90s. So you had Robin when Tim Drake was first Robin, Robin 2, I think that one was the Joker's Wild, or maybe it was 3, but then also Robin 3. It's going to collect the first 5 issues of his main series from the 90s. And a whole bunch of his other appearances as well. So this one doesn't collect as much of his main series from the 90s because he had a whole bunch of other appearances before that. So that's what this is going to be. And if they do a second one, I'm sure they'll get way more into his series from the 90s. But I can't wait for this. Great Tom Grummett artwork. I love this. And yeah, this is the only cover.
Did you say how much that one is?
Yeah, $59.99. Yep.
Yeah. Next up, we've got this one's really interesting. Nightwing Year One 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. So there was a lot of Year One miniseries that came with all the different Bat family, and this one is doing Nightwing Year One by Scott Beatty, Chuck Dixon, and the art by Scott McDaniel. And this was from Nightwing 101 to Nightwing 106. So it has the full year one story of Nightwing's first year on the job, plus the script for 104. It's got notes, never before printed outline of the story, never before seen sketchbook, and a bunch more. So if you've never read that story, maybe you've read some of the other year ones, Robin year one, Batgirl year one, you'll want to check out Nightwing year one. And there's 2 covers for this. So they are both $29.99. This is our main one. And then there's a direct market Dan Mora variant.
I need both. This is the Ghost Rider 2099 Omnibus. This is going to be $100, and it's going to collect the entire Ghost Rider 2099 series from 1994, issues 1 through 25. And in this one, Ghost Rider is not a fire-headed demon that rides a motorcycle. He's more of a cyberspace kind of character. And he just popped up in the Spider-Man 2099 miniseries recently. So we have our standard edition cover here, and then we have a direct market cover also.
I guess I didn't know the series ran long enough to have an omnibus, but that's a
I didn't know it was from '94. I thought it was later than that.
yeah,
But yeah.
very interesting. Next up, we've got Geiger. This is the deluxe edition hardcover volume 1, and this is really cool. So it's oversized, which makes me think it's going to be a little bit taller. Isn't that usually what oversized means?
Yeah, like a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
a little bit this way.
This is going to be, let's see, $34.99. This has Geiger 1 through 6 plus portions of the 80-page giant.
Oh, okay.
Which now is a very hard thing to get.
Really?
It's like one of the rarer ones to get.
Oh, wow, okay.
And over 30 pages of bonus material. So, still, if you have not read Geiger, it comes with our highest recommendation.
Number 2 of the new series came out this week. It was fantastic.
So good. So, definitely check that out. Definitely, if you're a fan of Fallout, you like the Fallout TV show, this is very much kind of has that feel too. And just the one cover for $34.99.
Next is Godzilla, the Facsimile edition number. So this is the Godzilla King of the Monsters from 1970. I think it was 1970. From Marvel Comics, and this is just the facsimile of that issue, complete with ads and everything like that. And I believe there's going to be a foil version of this,
and a sketch version of it. So we've got the omnibus of this coming out, but also you can get the just the first issue. Next up, we've got Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe facsimile of the first issue of this miniseries, written by Cullen Bunn, which, it's always weird now when we get facsimiles of series that I don't consider that old.
Right.
It's kind of old now, but still perfect in time for the new movie, especially just given the storyline of
all right,
all of the Marvel Universe and everything. Very interesting story here. It went on to do a bunch of others. The Deadpool Killustrated, Deadpool Kills Deadpool, all of those different things. So if you've never read it, or if you want to get the facsimile edition of it, here it is.
Next is the Gotham by Gaslight number 1 facsimile edition. This one, just like all the other facsimiles, a complete recreation, complete with all the ads. I'm excited for the new the new Gotham by Gaslight book that introduces more heroes in there. I can't quite remember the name of that, but it's a fantastic book. If you've never read it, definitely pick this up because it's wonderful. And this is going to be $4.99.
Yep.
Oh, and foil? Is there a foil variant?
I think there is. Yes, there is.
Okay.
And this has got the new Elseworlds logo up on the corner, or the one they're going to be using for the new Elseworlds.
Is that new? That looks like the original. Yeah, it looks like the original.
Oh, well, I think it's...
But they're bringing it back.
They're bringing it back.
Yeah.
That's kind of the big thing about this, is they're bringing back the Elseworlds stories. Next up, we've got Mad Magazine number 1 facsimile. It's really cool they're doing this back when Mad was a comic book size book and not a magazine size book. So you've got just huge creators on this. You've got Harvey Kurtzman, Jack Davis, Wally Wood, Bill Elder, and John Severin back from 1952. So if you want to see where Mad Magazine all began, great to check out this one. And this one is $3.99.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, 6th printing. That's it. That's the tweet right there.
Enough said.
Enough said. Yeah, just super cool. I wish I'd been getting all these because I love all these covers. I might get this one anyway just for the Scarlet Spider costume. It doesn't show up in this issue, but it's just super cool. 6th printing for Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. Very well worth it. Such a fantastic series. If you have not gotten this yet, now is your chance to get it again. It's super great. I love it.
And lastly, we've got White Trees number 1, 2nd printing. So this is actually the reprint of White Trees 1 and 2 collected together that came out the same time as the Whisper Queen.
That was just
came out.
Like last week, I think.
Yeah. And it was great that you read White Trees first and then Whisper Queen. So they are doing another printing of this reprint of 2 other issues. So very cool one here. Very interesting series. Very cool fantasy world from Chip Zdarsky and Chris Anka. So don't miss this one. If you maybe read Whisper Queen and like, I want to read more in this universe, go back and read this. And that is it for Comics from the Future. Thank you so much for watching. Head over to infinityflux.net right now and place your pre-orders for these books so you don't miss out when they come out and you don't show up empty-handed to your local comic book store and you're really upset because They're already sold out
Mhm.
of these big titles. But yeah, some really good stuff on the show this week. Very excited. What is an emoji they can drop us?
Oh.
Is there one for Scarlett? Is there a
Is there like a red? Is there? Yeah, like drop a. I don't know if there's a red-headed female emoji, but drop us maybe just like a female emoji for Scarlet.
yeah? Or if you're excited for Cult of the Lamb, I know there's a little lamb emoji.
Oh yeah,
One of those.
just drop us something,
Yeah.
or we can do the thing where you drop an emoji, we try to figure out which book you're referencing, but just to let us know that you made it all the way through, just put something down there and we'll play with it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So thank you so much for watching. We've got our show coming up on Monday. We're going over some of the books that are coming out next week that we're most excited to read.
And there's some really exciting ones next
Yeah.
week that we're really excited to read. So definitely check us out on Monday.
The Doom #1
Yeah.
one shot, Doom versus Galactus. Very excited about that. So don't miss out on that. And remember, we crossed over 3,000 subscribers, but we want to keep going. So if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. We've got a lot of really cool stuff planned for the future that you'll be very interested in. You'll want to be the first to hear. And I guess that's it. So
Yep.
until next time,
See ya.